terramation is the process of human composting where we transform the body back into soil.
Braden is a co-founder of LifeSource, a green funeral home in Los Angeles that offers terramation as one of its sustainable end-of-life options. He also worked as a professional composter for over a decade.
I have worked with every scale of composting from backyard bins to, dozens of thousands of tons a year, managing commercial scale composting facilities.
So Braden knows a thing or two about composting. And whether it's a loved one or veggies with composting, overall, the natural processes remain the same.
The whole idea is to provide the best environment for the microbes to thrive. So that means you're balancing your carbon and nitrogen. Some people call it browns and greens. You're managing your moisture content and your airflow to create the optimal environment for the microbes to decompose your body and return it to soil.
However, there are some key differences when composting a loved one. For instance, with garden composting, scraps are first reduced to speed up the process, and that's not the case with terramation.
Your loved one is placed in the vessel fully intact and with the utmost respect. And whereas composting in the backyard or composting at a commercial scale, we often put food waste through a grinder or, because when you make it smaller, it composts faster. So speed is not our objective in terramation. It's integrity and respect.
It's important to understand what's happening behind the scenes as new terramation businesses open.
You cannot get full true consent without full transparency.
One of the biggest questions with terramation is what happens to the bones?
For every terramation operation, you do have to break up the bones to make them smaller so they can fully decompose and transform into soil. So when does that happen? How does that happen? Is the company telling you everything, or are they just glossing over it?
LifeSource's terramation partner, Return Home in Auburn, Washington, is very transparent about their processes. In fact, you can go tour their facilities.
They have a two-stage process where they fully allow the soft tissue to decompose before there's any mechanical reduction of the skeletal remains. And that is super important to us because without that two-step process, if you have a single vessel unit with some kind of internal mechanism to break up the bones, you know, you don't really know when that's happening. They could turn it on early. They can cut corners that way and try and speed up the process.
Another thing to consider when maintaining the natural integrity is heat. Compost gets warm on its own from microbial activity.
The heat must be generated purely from the biological activity inside the vessel. And that means that there's no additional heat added to the system. If you're adding heat and you're not reaching your, proper time and temperature regimen, there's something wrong in the process.
If you have questions about terramation or other sustainable death care options, reach out to LifeSource. They're happy to answer questions. When considering terramation, remember to ask some of the more maybe uncomfortable questions. And if a company's not willing to answer them, you probably want to look elsewhere.